Hello, everybody. Welcome to the March 2025 Topanga Town Council public meeting. Because we don't have a mic situation, we've got a lot of people in the room. If we could keep our voices down and try to minimize the sidebar so we can hear what all of our panelists and guest speakers have to say, that would be fabulous. Just want to start by saying my name is Carrie Carrier. I'm on the Topanga Town Council, which is an all-volunteer organization in Canyon that started in 1977. Our purpose and our existence basically is here so that we can provide a regular forum in which the community can engage with our elected officials and our agency representatives to address issues of broad community concern. So that's why we're here. We're committed to having monthly meetings so the public can engage with our representatives. Tonight, the issue will be about the road and the road closures and what is prompting those road closures and when we will be able to get out from under the road closures. Before we start the meeting, I did want to acknowledge our Zoom community. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us by Zoom. Yeah, we see you, and we'll be incorporating questions, so feel free to use the chat liberally to put your questions in there, and then we will bring you in as we get to the panel discussion. And then also, thank you all for coming and braving the road closures to get here tonight. We really appreciate it. We're going to start the meeting with our first responders, and our first responders consist of Deputy Rick Baldi, Officer Cody Sturgis from PHP, and then Chief Drew Smith in the back, who just joined us, will give an update on the fire. I guess we will start with Deputy Baldi, if you're up for it.
Okay,
let's start.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to do the sheriff's report, your crime stats for the month of February. Total Part 1 crimes for the month of February was 5. Had 2 assaults, 1 residential burglary, 1 grand theft, and 1 theft from an unlocked vehicle. Those incidents consist of a grand theft of auto parts, that was on Greenleaf, a burglary on Light Hill Drive, in which the safe was pried open and watches and jewelry were taken. And then there was a neighbor dispute, which turned a little violent, so that's where your assault was. And then a backpack was taken from the back of a motorcycle. So that's your crime report for February. That puts you guys at 10 total crimes for 2025. That's up slightly. You had 8 in 2024 at this time of year. So quick and easy. I'll take any questions about the crime report or anything else that's not going to be addressed later.
So if people have questions about parking passes, that's something that he could address. In terms of road closures, if you guys could save your questions to the road panel, that would be great. Primarily crime questions. I have a question, but I don't want to be doing all the talking. So if anyone in the audience has a question, or maybe I'll get started then. I'll start with my question and then Sean then. All right, so I noticed Sheriff Luna sent out a 5-year report, and he had 2020 versus 2025 in general trends. And one trend I thought was promising was petty theft was down, was it 100 or 200%? It was down significantly from 2020 to 2025. But on the flip side, literally the opposite thing happened with grand theft. So that went way up and petty theft went way down. So good that petty theft went down, but bad that the grand theft went up. How are you interpreting that? Like, what's the cause behind that? Does it have anything to do with the new crop and how we define crime or anything like that?
No, I just think sometimes they get over that $950 mark. They're not necessarily counting. So you're going to have a peak and a wave of sometimes they may open a car and all they get is a purse that's empty. They may open the car and there's $1,000 in cash or a laptop, which will put it over to the grand theft. So yeah, kind of a crapshoot.
Sounds safe to me. Sounds unsafe.
Yeah.
Very safe.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're doing your job, and oh my God, people have no questions. This is unbelievable.
I'm just gonna say my neighbor, I think it was in February, right up Topanga Canyon Boulevard, had his entire truck stolen during February.
Okay.
So I'm sure that was reported to the police, but it didn't sound like it was in their report.
It could have been, yeah, it just depends when it hits the crime report. If it was like January 31st, it would have been on last month's report. And if it happened like March 1st, it'll be on when I come next month. Or if it was, if you went to like LAPD, Topanga or something like that, it'll be a courtesy report, which will get forwarded to us at a later time, and then it'll get added.
Lost Hill.
Yeah, that's us.
That's where.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it didn't show up on the crime report for February, so I'm not sure.
And it happened in Topanga?
On Topanga Canyon.
Wow, okay. Yeah, you think it.
Not far from Wildwood.
If you could look into that, I would be curious, 'cause we
Yeah.
don't want our crimes slipping through the cracks.
Yeah, of course.
Captured, definitely. Okay, all right. So do we have any other questions for Deputy Baldy? Oh my God, this is an easy one. I suspect they'll have
Later, yeah.
some later, yeah. But, okay, so that Cody Sturge, Officer Sturgeon?
Good evening, everyone. So I have a couple things before I get into the crash report. So we have a maximum enforcement day coming up on April 1st. And the focus of that is going to be distracted driving, DUI, and primary crash factor violations such as speeding, using your cell phone, unsafe lane changes, stuff like that. By maximum enforcement period, I mean, we're gonna have a lot more officers than normal, out on the road. Everyone who's available that day will pretty much be out in force. And they'll be issuing citations and making traffic stops. Then also have the Start Smart program coming up. That's a free driving education class that we do for teenagers and their parents. That'll be on March 31st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And that will be at our office. So space is limited, so you can contact me at our office, or you can contact me via email, and I can reserve a spot for you. It's a good class. It's 2 hours, and we go into pretty much how to get your license and then all of the issues that teen drivers face and the consequences of reckless and distracted driving. As far as the crash report goes, shouldn't really be a surprise that in February of this year, there were no crashes. I'm gonna say that was due to the closure of Topanga, because when I look at the crash report, I find that it's pretty much,
I said that.
no residents are involved in crashes around here. It's typically people traveling through, and so it's not too surprising to me that there were no crashes last week. But in February of 2024, there were 8 crashes, and 2 of those were property damage only. 6 had injuries, and 1 of them was a hit and run. The driver for the hit and run, we weren't able to prove who was driving because the owner of the vehicle claimed that the car was stolen. But that we find is not always the case. There was 1 DUI related crash, and there were no fatal crashes. Causes of the crashes include DUI, unsafe turning movements. There were 5 unsafe speed for conditions, and then 1 was for failing to yield when entering a highway or crossing one. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions?
The maximum enforcement is that you're like gonna come in the canyon and just,
They'll be throughout our entire area, so they'll have pretty much the entire area that we're a part of will be saturated with the officers that we have.
Which area is that?
The West Valley areas, we cover the Santa Monica Mountains, so including Topanga, but we also have on the 101, we have from Universal Studios to Ventura County. We have the 405 from the Mulholland Bridge to the 118, and we have the 118 from Ventura County to the 5, and we have the 170 as well.
How do you tell, like, what are your tells on distracted driving? I mean, there are some things that are really obvious, but what are you specifically looking for?
So when you're in heavy traffic, we're looking for cars that you'll see a large gap in front of them, right? And that's because they're on their phone, they're looking at their phone, not paying attention. And then we're looking for people who are also, while they're moving, they start drifting over and coming back. That can usually be either DUI or they're on their phone.
Yeah.
And just paying
and
attention
this
to it.
is April,
April 1st.
so that the canyon's not even gonna be open.
Well.
Good luck.
But it's not an April Fool's joke. We actually did
Okay.
on that day.
All right, do we have any other questions for Cody?
Yeah.
Emily?
What's the email address for people to contact you regarding?
So it's my first name dot and my last name, so it'd be CODY and then dot STURGES at chp.ca.gov.
I talked to you during the fire and you handled it very well. It was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was.
Cody claims he plans to be around for a while, so
I
we
do,
should invest
I
in
do.
this
I plan on
relationship.
being around for at least, I would say, 3 to 5 years.
Yay, that would be wonderful.
The name of that day is it's Maximum Enforcement Day.
Yeah, so that's a
Okay.
maximum.
For distracted
maximum
driving,
enforcement
okay.
day.
All right,
We do have one question on Zoom, by Todd. Will vehicles
that are not street legal with modified mufflers, etc., also be cited during the operation of distracted driving, high-speed vehicles, etc.
Yes, that's another thing we look at. We're always looking for people involved in street racing and stuff like that. So there's certainly a part of what we're looking for.
Thank you. And what's the name of the other program? Start Smart?
Yes, start smart.
Start Smart. Thank you.
We have the date for that.
March 31st.
Perfect. All right. I think you're all, oh, wait. One question. Dave?
Well, about enforcement of parking, we've had an issue for quite some time at Old Canyon and Topanga Canyon with parking. Like 20, 30 cars that park there all the time.
So
All in
I
front of you, no parking, no standing signs.
haven't received a complaint recently. I think I received one regarding certain business in the area. But I haven't received too many complaints besides that.
We've gotten about 15 of them from me and one or two others.
Recently?
Well,
Or-
ongoing.
Ongoing? So I haven't heard from you in a while.
That's because I don't like to push.
No, but I mean, if you see a problem.
I do. I've done it many times and no one does anything about it. You know the story. We've had this discussion many times, as did your predecessor.
But if you see it like actively going on,
I've done it a million times.
place a call through dispatch, they will send someone out, they have to.
They don't do anything.
I'll talk to them about it.
Cody, what's the impediment? Like, you know, the complaint, and people do oftentimes file something, they feel like nothing's done, but maybe things are done behind the scenes. What's being done behind the scenes, or if nothing's being done, why? What is the impediment that's keeping more enforcement from happening?
So part of it is just the number of officers that we have. So we have, on a good day, maybe 10 for that entire region that I had mentioned. And maybe one of those is assigned to the entire Santa Monica Mountains. So not just Topanga, but everywhere else, so if they're out there handling crashes and stuff like that. But a lot of times it's maybe 5 officers, and so then they have they split the responsibilities, so there's no one even directly assigned to the Santa Monica Mountains. So they pretty much just respond to calls into here because it keeps them separate from the other units, and it can be a safety issue for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the issue is the amount of people. And also just, it's kind of random different times. So I can talk to them about the particular timeframes. If you can give me some good timeframes that they can look into.
We can do that,
I'll send it
yeah.
out.
It would be good to have some enforcement, because it does often feel like nothing ever changes, in spite of our best efforts. So it would be good, even if just a token enforcement or two would be nice. Okay, next.
One
How about
minute,
it?
so-
Oh,
Hi, if you're looking for racers on April 1st, could I recommend that you station someone up on Saddle Key? Yep, I lived there for 23 years and it was an ongoing problem, and I'm hearing from my former neighbors that it's even worse now, that people are somehow got through roadblocks and that the racing is out of control. So all along Saddle Peak, along that ridge, all the way to Tuna.
They're usually coming up.
Yes.
They're coming off Stone.
I noted that down.
Thank you.
I have a good amount of officers who are street racing trained, and they're very much into going after them.
That's the place.
Would you want to say be going after the Operation Safe Canyons coalition, would they be working together with the sheriffs?
That's something I don't think we currently do, but I think we should probably look into having a partnership on that.
Yes.
excellent. And Andrea has a question?
Hi, my name is Andrea Crawford, and I did speak with you a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me, I wanted to follow up what James had talked about. And I noticed particularly, well before, but I wanted to bring up the issue of cars parking on Old Canyon, particularly at the intersection of the boulevard. The signs are clearly posted, no stopping or parking. And cars continue to be allowed to do that. And I think in light of the Palisades Fire, which started and ripped so quickly through the Palisades, I wanted to bring this up as a community issue to address this perhaps. I think it's important. I think it's a hazard for people living up here in order to be able to get out if something like that should occur.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and I will definitely look into it. I mean, I've gone out on this complaint before, but then I kind
I know, I can't.
I stopped receiving the complaints on it. I think yours was the one that I've received in recent memory, but I've only received probably one regarding that in a while. So if there's an ongoing issue, be sure to let me know. Like if you have complaints and there's a lot of different complaints, then I know it's like a bigger issue. But if I receive kind of just one and it's been, months go by and I don't hear anything, then I don't know that it's still going on. I think that maybe something's been done.
Maybe I could talk to you after the meetings. I'm on Medicare. I may not be able to get my hearing aids. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about it after.
You can sit up here if it would make it easier for you to just speak. I'm going to come up here. Okay, all right, so I think we're good.
Sorry.
Another question.
Number one, what is the best way to reach out to cite an issue?
You can send me an email or call our office during business hours. If I'm there, I can talk to you directly. If not, I'll get back to you via email.
Do you mind sharing the number?
Yeah, so the office number is 818-888-0980.
And then my second question, sorry, 0980.
Yes,
What's the address of the office for the teams driving?
it is 5825 DeSoto Avenue. And I'll be in Woodland Hills, 91367.
Excellent. All right, so we have a question back here?
Yes, I don't know if it's your jurisdiction, but we've had a abandoned car parked for several months on Grandview.
Yeah, you can send that over to me with the details and then we can look into it.
It's 3 days, right? When the car's been.
Yeah, so
Yep.
if it's, here, Faded. So if it's not like a regular problem, like this isn't like a neighbor dispute or something like that, just an abandoned car, you can call our non-emergency line. And then officer will go out there, they can tag it, and then from then, it's 72 hours. So if the vehicle doesn't move in 72 hours, they can then tow the car.
Thank you.
All right, so any more questions?
What was the email again?
It's DODY.Sturgis, STURGES @CHP.ca.gov.
All right, then we have a question from Kathy.
I just want to make a request for you and the sheriff's agencies. If maybe you could reach out to the local high school and middle school principals and tell them to let their students know that if they are on an e-bike and they're in traffic, that they could be cited. And if they get cited, then that could prevent them from getting a driving license till they're 18. Because twice, like in Calabasas, I've seen a group of 8 to 12 adolescents and they're like zipping all the way across traffic. So if your agencies could do that, it might help.
So I'm working with our senior volunteer program and they are working on an e-bike presentation that I can give. So that's something I can do as well, is actually go to the school and give a presentation to it.
Great.
All right, so next is, do we have any more questions for Cody or do we want to move on to fire? Okay, fire, Chief Smith. Well, you were on the hot seat today, Cody.
I love it. Perfect.
We have an open seat here and here.
So good evening, Drew Smith, Los Angeles County Fire Department, Division 7, so I'm the Assistant Fire Chief for your area, so I'm your fire chief. I had a report for February, and it was a very light load in Topanga Canyon, total of 19 calls, 0 fires, 9 which were medical calls, 0 hazmat calls, 0 hazardous conditions, 1 service call, and 9 good intent calls. And I always talk to not good intent calls. Anybody know the answer? Come on, I say this every time. Good intent calls I love. That means people are paying attention. They call us and we come vet what the emergency is. So pay attention, report, we'll come investigate and see what the best strategy is.
And then you're happy in your tent.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? Your fire family is doing good, and I want to keep continuing to send this message. Thank you for all the support you gave us from Palisades Fire, and still continue to do so. We highly appreciate it. Your Topanga firefighters are highly motivated. Your call firefighters are highly motivated and love being there. With that, I'll give a little message on weather. Is there any meteorologists in the room? Anybody claiming me? Okay, so just with road. We're in about a 5-inch deficit, so we're not bad. We can get better, but usually Mother Nature turns off the sprinkler system around April. So we have, which we have had plenty in the past of those years that from mid-March to about April 15th that we do get 2 to 5 inches of rain. So nobody panic yet. Mother Nature's in control, but we're doing good. And things that, as you see how green it is, I also want to advocate that this is the time to really look at our home hardening practices. I want to look at our defensible space practices and start looking ahead because we all know what the end result is. So we all need to work together on what we do in our park. Any questions for me? Hi, Roger. Somebody's got to have one. Give me a finger.
Right?
No?
Oh, there's Susan.
Oh, Susan,
I
yes.
have a question. I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up, but we got our notices, those people who are inspected, properties who are inspected, that, you know, the regular annual notice, do your brush clearance, yada, yada, yada. And it's something that I learned a while back, and I was wondering if there's any motivating reason, especially since these fires, to re-examine if that inspection system needs to be rolled out to all residents. Because it's very selective now, and I don't even know if it gets half of the residents.
Right, so on that declaration list for improved properties, unimproved properties that we look at, people that are in a very high fire severity danger zone should be getting that pencil stage notice that needs to be done. One thing that we look at closely is, and I'll use this word, is delay it, and I'll tell you the why. We don't want you to have to weed whack twice. So we kind of try to be timely with that, so we can do it at the right time. So if there is some residents that may not be on that,
Yes.
we can identify that with our brush clearance. So if anybody wants to be the Defensible Space Police, please give us a call and we will go and look at that property. But everybody, just because you're in or not in or getting notice, you still have a responsibility to maintain your property, because we can truthfully write whether you're not exempt because you didn't get a Defensible Space Clearance notice. Yes, sir, I knew there'd be one.
I've got, excuse me, I've got my property with my house on it, and I also own a vacant lot. I didn't notice it, but right after the Woolsey fire, I think it was the county agriculture department came out and started weed whacking my vacant lot.
Okay.
Because I did not know that they were different.
Right,
It seems
unimproved compared to improved property, correct?
What's that?
Improved property compared to unimproved property.
Yeah, it's vacant.
Okay.
There's nothing there, it's just hillside.
Mm-hmm.
But that has seemed kind of spotty in the last few years. Do you know what the agriculture, the county agriculture department is doing? Are they out here every year now? Or like, I know you guys are.
Funny you mentioned that. We just had a big meeting on that the other day in Mora Hills, where we have Los Angeles County Fire Department and Department of Agricultural Waste and Measures, and we can have those lists on improved properties and unimproved properties. So yes, we do work. There are things that fall in the cracks. I'd be lying to you if I said, oh, nothing ever does. So it does, but we do a very good job of working together on what properties and who owns and what the responsibility is that has impacts to somebody's improved property or structure. All right.
Hey, are there going to be physical inspections by the fire department of properties?
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it in the last.
I have it. I got it.
Good.
You have?
Last year.
I got the notice.
Yeah.
But I mean, people actually going out.
Yeah, so we don't do this drone thing. We don't look at Google Maps. We drive, and your firefighters that are here that work this area, they know the areas really well. And we also work with our forestry division that they come out. So just because you don't see them doesn't mean they weren't there. If you want a catered approach to your property, I know somebody that does home hardening inspections, So that on the home hardening inspections is really a force multiplier for us. It really, really, really complements what we do. So we're gonna go out and look at the fire code and whether you meet or do not meet and give, what you need to do to get in compliance. And there's lots of work to do. But also if you, get involved and do a home hardening assessment, which I highly advocate for. That will really set you up for success. So you can have those unknowns become knowns on what to do.
Maybe just I can jump in here.
I would love for you to. Come on.
I will be doing a series of home hardening talks to various neighborhoods in Topanga. I'm starting this weekend up in Glenview. It's just for those people there in that neighborhood. But I've made it quite well known to TCEP that I'm going to be moving around. I'm going to be at the top of Topanga in a few weeks. There's a new group starting in Fontaine. So what I'll be doing is I'll just be giving an hour-long presentation on home hardening, stuff you guys can do, and also stuff that you can get evaluated through Resource Conservation District, Santa Monica Mountains, and others. You guys can come to your house and do the work.
Is there any literature posted on that, any of the Topanga
Yeah, do you have a flyer?
website?
I just got the flyer.
All right, good. Send it
Last
out.
week.
We will
So
push it
here
out,
it is.
like, do the meeting summary, yeah.
I know that the various,
Yeah,
websites that has ownership in Topanga is really good about pushing
Yeah.
and out, really valid
The
information.
home hardening.
And I think it's a good time to do it too, because you probably know about this, Drew, as well. There is, I just heard on the news, the CAL FIRE's been working on the 5-foot zone for several, and now, like, they've been literally working on it for years, but they're gonna actually publish a draft summary in April of this year of what they expect people to do. And then people will have 3 years to comply with those measures that they are stipulating.
Right, right, so zone 0, that is no combustibles within 5 feet of your house. We have always been able to write within 0 to 5 feet. Based upon what the vulnerabilities are and exposure are based upon that vegetation. But, if everything is passed and it comes into effect, what I suspect is gonna have a rollout, so we can ease into it, is what I see. So good practice right now, which I know when Ryan does his inspection, he's gonna go through what that should look like. So we need to start now to get to whenever that date is gonna be, that it's gonna be long.
Yeah, they're saying it's about 3 years, I think, for existing homes. And so the sooner everyone gets on it, gets their little weekend.
And all new
projects going,
stuff is gonna have to have it.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
But basically, all of that now, if you do it and you have a little certification, you have an inspector, I know for care plan.
Yeah.
That you actually get a level of home hardening to get checked off, and that will also give you, is it a 5%?
It's actually right now, it's 10% for the home hardening, and then for the first 50 feet of defensible space is another 5. If you do one or the other, it's 10 or 5. If you do them together, it's 13.5. So 13.5% on top of the Firewise discount that they carry,
Which is like
worked
7.
very hard to create for us. And one other thing I will say, when you keep the Firewise discount by having educational events, by doing things, it doesn't just happen. So if you come to one of the talks that I'm going to be giving, you can take that time. You can take the time in this meeting.
Right, for all your
Or go to the
people.
website and say, I spent an hour, plunk it in, go to the town council website, because they'll tell you how to plunk the little council in.
Onetopanga.com.
Yeah, and you can put your hours in, and that really helps us keep this designation.
Yeah, and we will be pushing it out. Thank you, Ryan, for saying that, and we'll continue to push that out. But yes, in addition to all of the educational seminars and workshops that you attend to harden your homes and to be fire safe, it also, the money you spend on hardening your home also counts towards our community contribution.
And brush clearance.
And brush clearance.
Right.
So put it all in. We'll send out information in our next newsletter about how you do that again every year, how you can submit your data. And you can do it anonymously, so don't worry about that. We're big privacy advocates. But just what we do is we aggregate the data and push it out to CAL FIRE and NFPA, who administers the program, and then we all qualify for that discount. Okay, so it is 6:37.
Hey, Carrie,
All right, yeah.
we do have one Zoom
All right,
question.
we have one quick question, one for Will, and then we should probably segue into the road.
So I'd like to ask Carolyn Day to go ahead and ask her question on Zoom. Carolyn, can you hear us?
Here's your big chance.
She's on.
Okay. All right, well, going over to Will until we get her on. All right, let's go to Will. Will?
Hi, thank you. Will Alford, I'm working with Topanga, 233 homes. We're looking for fuel modification in either the conservancy areas or the MRCA. It's been neglected for a long time. I went through a phone tree. I could give you County Ag. I have their phone number. But I can't find who to talk to. I have only a few leads left before I exhausted them all. Who do I talk to about fuel modification or for those areas?
So you can start with us, okay? And then we can find out the land ownership and how that looks, and then we can bring those working relationships together. Depending if it's state parks, MRCA, we can connect those dots. So you can start with me, I'll go to our brush clearance unit, Palisades unit, which is our forestry chief is Ron Durbin. And we can easily get through that process.
Can I get a number directly from you after the meeting?
You can.
Perfect.
And actually, we'll be addressing that same sort of question from the state park side as well later in the meeting.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm coming on now.
All right.
Oh, wait, I'm ready to ask my question. This is Carolyn Day.
Schooled up?
My question is, as residents, we were able to install 3 air monitors, high quality ones around the canyon and at the beach. And in doing so and looking for a site, I contacted Station 69 and asked them if they wanted to be a location for one of the air monitoring nods. They informed me that they already have one set up at the station. And I was wondering if we could have access to the data that's coming out of the air monitoring node, because it would just be nice it would just be nice if we could have access to the data, the real-time data.
So I can say that we're not collecting that data, so it's probably a land use agreement we have with somebody. And who that somebody is, I don't know, but I can find out. But LA County Fire isn't collecting air data. We do fuels data and weather data, but not air quality data. So it might be something that I'll just say, I don't know, maybe AQMD has said, hey, can we use your fire station for this? And of course we go, sure you can. And so where that data goes, I have no clue. No clue.
But you can ask the station if we.
Yeah, hopefully there's a number on whoever's monitor is. I'm gonna have to do the research of who even owns it, because I'm sure your firefighters is today and they don't know. They just say, oh yeah, some dude came up and installed something.
That's
Okay.
really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
It would help, but obviously we could get further if you may ask the question versus just.
Yeah, so we do like raw station weather stuff, fuels, but air quality is, but we can look into that. I didn't even not know it was there, by the way.
Interesting, very good, Carol.
Hi, James.
Yeah.
Can I ask a very quick question?
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Has there been an official cause for either the Franklin or the Palisades yet?
Ooh, so Franklin, no. And on the Palisades, no. And so that's in LA City.
Right.
They haven't put that determination of cause yet. Great question. I don't know. It wasn't lightning, I'll tell you that. Go ahead. Sorry.
We have one last question. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and ask
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Amy Walker on Zoom is asking or stating, we need help in the canyon with weed whacking. Is there any way to get more support or assistance?
Ooh. Yeah, that's gonna be, so we don't go out and weed whack. We need a big workforce for that. So I don't have an answer for that on help as far as just using a reliable vendor, but Roger knows something.
I could probably, Jaspreet, I could probably deal with that. If they could call me or email me, we could discuss it further.
Yeah.
And we are pushing for county and state programs to sort of fund that for seniors, low-income people, but it's in the works. But I know Measure 4 or Prop 4 from Senator Allen potentially has funds that could be used for something like that. So we just need to keep pushing.
I know
But not,
there's that.
not this season. The problem bottom line is that you can't make a good for public funds.
All right. All right.
Perfect.
Good job.
Thank you.
Big question.
4 times already.
Okay.
I know.
We're into excitement. Okay, so here's how it's gonna go. We basically have, as you see in your agenda, we have a panel discussion. It's gonna be about 20 minutes of presentation of the key agencies involved in the road closures, either in calling for the closures or implementing them. So we're gonna hear from all of them. It's gonna be a high-level presentation. They're not gonna go into extreme detail. We're gonna save that for the question. But I ask that you keep your questions until after the entire panel is done, because most likely a lot of your questions will be answered in the subsequent speakers. Because I want as many people as possible to ask questions, we're gonna try to set it up this way. We think the fairest, quickest way to do it is to have people who wanna ask questions start lining up behind the microphones that don't work. But that's okay. It's still, by holding that mic, it shows it's your turn to speak, and maybe it will start working when you start speaking to it. Maybe you'll have the magic touch. But if people could start doing that, we'll go from this side to this side, then we can then fairly, ask people questions in the order in which they want to ask them. But we're going to start, as you see, with Caltrans, then we're going to go to Army Corps, SCE, and DPW, and we are going to figure out what is happening with the roads and when they're going to be open. All right, with that, I will introduce our first speaker, and this is Lauren Wonder. She is the Caltrans Communications Director, and she has worked with the community for a number of years. Very familiar with Topanga. She worked with us for 5 years on the roadside, Topanga Canyon Roadside Boulevard Committee. So she is very familiar with Topanga and will be a great advocate for us.
Hello, everybody. I see some familiar faces. There we go. Dave. What's happening with roads closed? We all know that. I'm going to.
Is it this one?
Yep, that's one. I've got some pictures that we took in the field of the damage on the hill. So I'll start, as you know, with the first storm, we got 33,000 cubic yards of mud that came down. We also found a big boulder. You all know this. We had to blow it up. Even our geotech guy said, get out. Nobody was allowed there. The contractor had to get out. So we started cleaning out the mud, and then the other storm happened. So we got more material. I don't know the volume on that material, but we're trucking this material out. We're taking it to a farm in Oxnard. We test it, make sure it's clean, and then we take it to the farm in Oxnard. So these are the locations, the general location of all of these photos that I'm going to show. Can you go to the next slide? Just scroll down. It's a PDF.
Okay.
Can you tell us where we are and location of like
Yeah, from here.
Yeah,
All of 27.
this is, I'll tell you, we're going from post mile 0.933 down to 2.712.
So here's 0.9, and then here's 2.7.
Yeah. Sorry, I forget. We have to do our post miles the other direction. So then you see the topo map here. We're talking about that, Roger, scenic.
What?
Scenic portion, right? So go down to the next, or scroll up to the next photos. So this is where
There we go.
the road washed out after that second storm. Mud came down. Everybody says, just open it up. You can see, I'm going to step off camera. There is no road. It's gone. There are guardrail posts that are just dangling. Pull up the next photo. And you can't see this very well, but there's oops, I touched it. There's a water main. Your water main was exposed that goes to the town. So Water and Power is going to come in and reroute that while we're doing our clearing work, while we're trying to get this started on repairs. What we're trying to do is do all of this in the next 2.5 months, so we can try to get the road open to 2 lanes up until this portion, and then it will have to be one-way traffic control. So we'll have alternating signals. Keep in mind, Southern California Edison is also working down at the bottom, so they're going to have one-way traffic control as well. So I just wanted to show you some of these photos where you can see the damage. These 2 particular ones are at post mile 0.933, so it's closer to PCH. And whenever we start the numbering on a route, it's always at the origin. So at PCH, it's going to be post mile 0. And then we move north. Well, in this case, it's odd numbers go north-south. Even numbers go east-west or west-east. So this is at 0.933. We had water that overtopped and exposed this corrugated metal pipe, and we had slope washout. You can go to the next set. same thing, we had, water washing out and running the, slope down. Same thing with number 3, you can just kind of quickly scroll through these. Similar, you can see the slope washed out. And we also had undermining of our culvert and the corrugated metal pipe that carries, stormwater away. Number 4, we should be on number 4. We had slope washout on the southbound ascending slope where water overtopped the road. Go down to 5.
And Lauren, this is all before mile marker 1, up before it, right?
Actually, we're starting to get into mile marker 2. I'm sorry, I forgot to identify these. At location 3, we were at 2.2.
That's right above the 2-mile bridge.
Right. So location 5 that we just showed was, or is this location 5? Can you scroll down?
It's 5.
This is 5, okay. This is at post mile 2.451. Okay. Same kind of thing. We had water run across the road and it washed out the slope on the northbound side. On the northbound ascending slope. Location 6 is at 2.520. Same thing. We had a slope washout. You can see all of that. 7. We had slope washout on the northbound descending slope at post mile 2.536. You can see these are all very close together. Location 8. Runoff from the southbound ascending slope, causing slope washout. This was at 2.666. Ooh, interesting number. And then the last one is location 9 at 2.712. We had water runoff leading to the washout ascending slope.
This is all before the S-curves.
No. You know your community better than I do.
No, it's right. It's right.
Not in the S. It goes into the S-curves.
S-curves start at 2 miles.
So, if I may, so that means that
Save your questions till.
Yeah.
it's not a question. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help.
Orient.
But all those people that live in Topanga that have been here forever, and even those that haven't been here forever, we're talking about the area between Pacific Coast Highway and the lumberyard, which is at 3.8. So that's the area we're talking about.
This is actually a mile south of where the lumberyard is. The last photo is 2.712.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
below the
The scenic
lumberyard.
highway, the scenic highway.
Yeah, the scenic area where there's
The
no
scenic highway.
business residents.
It's the scenic highway.
I've known Roger for 13 years. I tease him all the time.
Just trying to help, baby, just trying to help.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So what we'll do, once we can get all of that mud cleared off, and I talked to my construction folks back here, they said roughly 2.5, 3 months, hopefully. And we are trying to accelerate the mud removal because we just found out that the Oxnard farms won't take the mud at night because they have their own noise ordinances. So we're gonna work on getting more mud out during the day. We're doing 24/7 operation. We're gonna find a place to stockpile it so we can take that mud to the Oxnard farms during the day, so we can meet that 2.5, 3 month target.
Lauren, is that from now, starting 2.5? Yes.
Yes.
2.5.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's for the repair project.
That's for the mud clearing. Now, the repair project is gonna take a lot longer, because you saw that dangling guardrail. We're gonna need 3 retaining walls to secure this slope. And those will take, there's a lot of damage there. Harry asked me today, can't you put a plate on the road? I'm like, no, there's nothing underneath it.
Nothing.
Yeah, you can see the guardrail posts are dangling, so we can't put traffic load there. But there is a lane on the hillside. Hillside of the landslide side of the road. So we are going to try to get those 2 lanes open, so at least we can get some relief here. Now, to that end too, Carrie and I have been talking a lot about the school children and how we can give you some relief to get your school children through. We have talked to LAUSD, thank them profusely. They have agreed to take 1 bus each day down in the morning and back up in the evening. So they're going to take the elementary school, these are public school students, elementary school and the middle school. So they're gonna go to Paul Revere and I can't remember.
Oh, the middle and the high school.
It's
You mean,
middle-
right, the middle.
Elementary's here.
Remember the high
Elementary's
school.
here.
Right, the elementary school.
They mentioned Sterry and
I'm trying to
It
remember all
would be, it
the.
would be Paul Revere.
Yeah, with Paul Revere and Pali High, when it opens, Pali High right now is Zoom school. But what they might, where they tried with the elementary school, probably to do with where they would pick up and drop off, because most
maybe
likely that's where they would do it, yeah.
I got confused. I looked at all these schools and I went, okay, they're in Palisades. So mainly the Paul Revere, the Paul Revere,
Yeah.
because Pali apparently isn't in session right now. They're still remote.
Mid-April is when they're gearing up, or potentially, yeah.
So we'll have to work toward that.
Yep, yep.
And getting those students. We're also talking about how we might be able to get a shuttle, keep in mind, for just the private students, because we can't, this isn't an Uber, and we can't have a whole bunch of people going through the canyon. It's going to stop the production for the contractor, and it's not safe to have people moving in and out. So we really cannot open the road right now to everybody at certain times. And this bus is gonna be escorted. It can't just go on its own. We're gonna have the contractor let it in, escort it down. We'll meet them at the bottom of the road in the afternoon on their return trip, and they'll escort them back up. But we're trying to talk about the possibility of a shuttle. We've talked about people who need to get to their appointments. These private school students who need to get to their schools. We can't have a livery service that takes each person to their space. So we want to try to find a point where there would be a hub and some connection to public transit or something like that. So we're working very closely with Horvath's office. I buttonholed my partners at Public Works today to see how we can get that done. Can't promise anything, but that's our goal. I think that's all we needed to present.
There's gonna be lots of questions on this. We have to go, keep it going, and we just need to go to the Army Corps, SCE, and then we'll get all the questions, and they're all intertwined.
Yes.
Okay, Army
Thank you.
Corps, Colonel Saucer.
All right, good evening, Colonel Brian Saucer, I command the Emergency Field Office for the Palisades impact area. That includes the Pacific Palisades, unincorporated areas, and then the city of Malibu. I'm gonna be relatively quick because I know we're already almost at the hour mark and you got a lot of questions. So I'm trying to give you an idea of the totality of the emergency that we're facing here in terms of debris. You know, I failed to bring pictures. I should have brought some pictures, but I'll try to paint a few pictures, although I'm not an artist. So if you can imagine, for those carrier, an aircraft carrier, we took out about the weight of an aircraft carrier about 2 weeks ago from the time we started getting in early February until now. Right, that's a lot of mass, that's a lot of weight, and that's different debris streams that have to go out. So that's concrete, that's metals, that's fire ash debris, that's green waste, that's asbestos treated materials, so on and so forth. We probably need to do between 10 and 15 more aircraft carriers out of the Pacific Palisades and the unincorporated areas and the city of Malibu. It's a lot, right? That's a lot of dump trucks. So you might say, well, you've only done one, you got to get to 15. This is going to take forever. The truth is that we early on are in a ramp up stage. If you go back about 2 weeks ago, we were at 20 debris removal crews. We got a lot of stuff going on. We got arborists, we got asbestos consultants from the state of California, we got tree crews, we got asbestos abatement crews. But when you talk about abatement, or you talk about construction crews that actually remove the bulk of the debris, that's what most people see. We had about 20 of those a couple weeks ago. We had 64 today. We'll be 75 next week. And about 2 weeks from now, we'll be 100. So if we do 750 trucks today, like we did 750 trucks today, we need to get to 1,200 trucks a day. So we are going to continue to strain the road systems. We won't break them, but we're going to continue to strain them. I'm just being overly transparent with you. There's going to be a lot more folks coming in quickly to get this reduced faster. So I will tell you that, we have to do it at quality and we have to do it quickly. We know that. So we're moving as fast as we can. We treat it as an emergency, just like Caltrans. It's a 7-day-a-week operation. There are no days off, and that's going to continue to ramp up. To give you outside of the aircraft carrier comparison, we did 37 homes in those 3 areas, those large areas of the Palisades impact area. That means that's cleared homes, 37. We worked on probably about 70 homes, but 37 were cleared. You need to maintain over 35 homes cleared per day. That gets you to 1,050 homes cleared in a month. That gets you to a very different situation than where you're at right now. So I just briefed Marquez Elementary School parents on Monday, Palisades Elementary School parents yesterday, and I talk about that volume to try to paint the picture of what it's going to look like in the Palisades in early summer. And it's going to be a very different environment than it is right now, if we hit those rates, which we will. And so that's the ramp up period, and that's where we're at right now. So when folks talk about volume on PCH, well, we're about 60% of the way there. We need to get to 100% of the way there. So we're going to continue to stress the system. We work with a whole slew of partners. Many of them are here today. They've been incredible. As a stranger to Southern California, we can't do anything without partnerships. And everyone here, and I won't highlight them individually, has been a part of that. And we continue to leverage those partnerships to find innovative ways to do this quicker at quality. So that's kind of where we're at. I just want people to understand that I know we're talking about Topanga Canyon Road and for the folks here in this community, but for the larger footprint down here, this will continue to be really challenging through the next few months. Now, what the good news is, once you get to the ramp-up period, and then you plateau, and you start getting some serious numbers of trucks and debris removed, according to all California and federal standards, then you get to the ramp-down period. So there will be a light at the end of the tunnel where there's less congestion as we ramp down. As you look at the types of properties that we're dealing with, we're going to have a lot of challenging properties at the back end, from an engineering standpoint, from a legal standpoint. And that is when we came in and said, this is going to take until January of 26. It's because it's the totality of the problem. But it's a very different world the last 6 months that we're here, vice the first 6 months that we're here. And we're just in the beginning stages of that. We're 2 months in. And so it'll peak in May. It'll start peaking next month. It'll peak in May, June, and then we'll start to come down a little bit in terms of our production rates. So I just wanted to highlight those, and happy to take any questions at the end. I won't get into debris removal and how we do it and the different standards and anything else. I can answer those individually, maybe after the meeting. But just to respect the rest of the speakers, I think I'll move along.
Thank you so much. That's really good information. Want to talk or he's going to talk?
I want to talk to you.
John is there.
Go.
Now we're getting a little impatient, ready for questions, but if we could give John Abbott a few minutes, he's from SDE, working on the polar placement and the undergrounding down in the south.
I have a very short update. Leah couldn't be here, but talked to the inspector for Edison yesterday for this meeting, and the civil portion, they expect to be complete by next Friday. The plates, I drove up here this time, today, a couple times, and there's like a few plates left at the farthest south. So I believe those will be gone tomorrow, so everything's paved. And then the electric crews have been working already. And the estimated time was, when we in March? So it was April 21st, I believe is the date that they had for completing the electric.
And John, the area you're talking about is from Woodland Crest, that area, over the top, down to Happy Trail.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
actually the north
Yeah.
area. For the south area, what can you enlighten us on there?
I don't have any specifics on how fast we're going down there. I know a guy got injured down there today, broke his pelvis, got crushed by a steel plate. So I don't know how much that delayed it, the weather, I mean, that road was closed we couldn't even get to PCH for over a week. My estimate's maybe a couple months, so that's why I wanted to ask you is how long the repair portion of Topanga Canyon would take, because we're going up to the 2 mile, it's the 1.8 mile marker. There's a pole where we're gonna rise up. So we have to go from PCH to that pole. And then it's gonna continue overhead on the scenic highway. And then as Roger and most of you guys probably know, is the next section, the underground is beyond like the lumber yard, right in that area, it's gonna start. And it's gonna continue all the way up to Happy Trail or Happy Trail. Happy Trail. But that one is months from being designed from.
Okay. All right.
So-
So, yeah, no questions. No questions.
Yeah.
But be available for questions after. Okay. DPW, Lucas and Michelle. All right. We can introduce themselves, Lucas Bradley, DPW, Michelle Chimanti, also from DPW.
My name is Michelle Pianti. I'm the Assistant Deputy Director of our Road Maintenance for Public Works. And I'm actually just a pretty face. Actually, Lucas Bradley is my district engineer here for Maintenance District 3, which is Topanga's Canyon community. So he handles all the crews that are here that handle all the local roads for Public Works unincorporated LA County. We also have a website for the road closures to keep our communities up to date. And during the storm season, we actually utilized that website quite a bit because we saw we had to close Malibu Canyon Road. We opened it up as quickly as possible. We coordinate with our partners quite a bit. And you've heard a lot of us talking about that we're not working in vacuum. We know the community is hurting because of this massive wildfire that occurred. It caused a lot of damage, not just to the state, not just to the utilities, but also to our local roads. And Lucas is actually going to go over some of our projects, emergency projects that are going to occur here within the local roads because of what's happened during this fire season. And I'll let you take on.
Cool. Thanks for having me. Lucas Bradley, District Engineer for your area. I am the data guy, so I love when you guys use the Works app. I'm gonna preach that till my grave here. So if you can keep using that, that's the fastest way that we can get work orders into our work order system. I have handouts here for you all. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys been leveraging that. I'm also more than willing to stay after and hear out all your concerns on a, once a Tuesday basis to see, what issues you're having. I have this big map here. I was gonna do a nice paper point. I know it's kind of illegible, but essentially this map here has the county maintained public works roadways on it. And it also shows you where our current road closure is on. So we have like the Snake closure, we have Gorge Road, we had a bridge burn down on Gorge Road. However, it's accessible through another means of access. We have the Lost Forest resident only. We have the Tuna Canyon hard closure at the one way. And that really is there to respect the access pass limitation because we don't want to create kind of a super highway of folks that may or may not have passes going into Tuna Canyon. So that's why we have that closure. In terms of emergency projects, we have basically after every rainstorm, we've been re-triaging all of the concerns areas. Currently, we have 41 emergency projects. We're 46% complete. A number of them are burned wall, retaining wall structures that were rail and timber structures that are helping pull up from our roadways. So we're approaching that in a very systematic way. We also have a number of projects that are going to need some engineering, design, and calculations on. So we're working on those in parallel as well. Really hoping to have all of the major infrastructure rebuilt by July 1st. But in terms of major impacts in your area, the major one that we had from the last set of storms was Ramblin' Pacifica. You might notice that one of the link kind of blew out on the outboard side. We have a one-way stop control system right there. So that's the main things going on in the county unincorporated areas. Really appreciate your time. But yeah, I'll be here. So.
Terrific, okay. Wonderful, wow, okay, so just for orderliness and fairness, if we could line up to ask questions, otherwise I'll have to pick people and I don't wanna.
Very quick, I'm gonna do my report real quick, 2 minutes, because I know our Topanga community and how engaged you are, and I suspect I will not have time at the end to do that. So, my name is Daniel Vicente, I'm the Lost Virginess and Topanga Field Deputy for the Office of Supervisor Lindsay Horvath. I'm just gonna run through these really quick, and if you have any questions, you can include them there as well. LA County is leading the fastest post-disaster cleanup in U.S. history following recent wildfires in partnership with the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers. Thanks to coordinated efforts, impacted communities are seeing recovery at an unprecedented pace. Phase 2 is well underway. This is as of last week. So this says over 300 properties. I suspect it's a lot more have been cleared. Okay, as of now. Protecting our coastlines, the supervisor is working to secure authorization for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to remove all coastal debris to restore our beaches. Supervisor Horvath has been advancing county-wide disaster relief efforts for residents, small business owners, workers, and tenants, including stronger tenant protection. Supervisor Horvath led a motion to establish county-wide eviction protections, ensuring renters impacted by disasters are not displaced when they rebuild their lives. It includes $10 million in rent repayment assistance for property owners, ensuring that, helping them recover, without having an impact on our property owners. Protecting consumers from exploitation, Supervisor Horvath spearheaded the county's effort to crack down on price gouging, increasing penalties to $50,000 to prevent predatory price hikes on essential goods and services during the recovery period. $32 million in direct assistance in emergency funds to support households, small businesses, and workers. The county has secured more than $20 million in additional dollars from philanthropy. These funds are to provide direct financial assistance and will continue to grow as the county raises additional resources. Chair Horvath is also, sorry, she was chair last year. That was typo.
Soon to be chair again at some
Soon to
point.
be chair in a few more years. It's Chair Barger, but Supervisor Horvath spearheaded accountability and solutions on homelessness by consolidating county homelessness services. As of right now, homelessness is stretched around 17 different departments. What the supervisor is proposing on April 1st is introducing a motion to consolidate into one county department to increase accountability. Key milestones in the transition will include by the July 1st, a new consolidated county department is established. April 28th, the county's housing for health program, as well as the homeless initiative will merge to form the foundations of the new department. And then July 1st of next year, LASSA funding and related staff will transition to the new department while LASSA continues leading on the greater continuum of care and efforts like the homeless count. The motion prioritizes measurable outcomes, ensuring the county's investments are achieving real results. A lot of the audits recently have been disastrous and have proved that we need to try something different. And so this is what we are doing, and we're hoping for good results from it and are optimistic about those results. Measure G implementation is underway, and if you are interested in sitting on that board, you cannot be someone who I don't believe you can sit on the town council or any kind of neighborhood councils and sit on that. But if you're interested, measureG.lacounty.gov if you have anyone who wants to look into that. And then we are also holding immigration town halls. You can sign up for our newsletter and see what those are. I also post the Topanga local page on Facebook frequently with our newsletter and questions.
Wow, okay, really, really good update. And just quick thing on the tenant and the rent control, does that apply in unincorporated areas?
Anyone who is impacted financially by the Palisades fires can apply to those. You have to be able to show a financial impact that you have taken, either because you have lost a job that was there, if you were, going to work in Palisades and the business burned down. You just have to show that kind of need. And then, yes, your landlord will receive those funds and you cannot be evicted until July, basically.
And this is commercial and residential, or just residential, possibly? Residential, just residential?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
I believe, so check the website, lindsayhorvath.lacounty.gov. It has the whole list of everything on there.
All right. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and get to the questions, but while we're on the topic of the county, there is something really important that I wanted to bring up, because a lot of our businesses are hurting, and you're going to hear that through the road closure comments. But there are a lot of people falling through the cracks, not for lack of trying on your part. Those wonderful, wonderful programs that you have, and I'm sure they're helping a ton of people. But unfortunately, a lot of people in Topanga, for one reason or another, have fallen through the cracks and have not been able to qualify for any aid, even though they desperately need it. So we are, working with you, working with others to try to assess where the unmet needs are and who specifically has unmet needs, like specific businesses. And anything you want to add to that would be great, but I wanted you to know that
support has not caught up for people who are outside of the burn scar. We know that there have been impacts on folks specifically here in Topanga, Malibu, surrounding communities. We know that. Support is not caught up yet. Our office is working on several different things right now. It's the best way I know how to put it, to help mitigate some of that. We are in touch with the Red Cross, who I think will be announcing something soon, but hopefully provide some kind of relief to folks. I was talking with Connie, and I leveled with her that we have been hearing these concerns that there is a lapse in supportive services for people who may not have lost their homes, but have been indirectly impacted by the fire. And we are aware of that. We're working on some things right now. I can't announce anything just yet, but as you saw our office come through last year during the TCB closure, we are working on similar things right now that we hope to announce very, very soon.
Thank you, Daniel. That's a big
And also, I
reassurance.
think Susan Nisman had a birthday this month, or will be having a birthday this month.
First day of spring tomorrow.
Spring
Oh.
tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you, Daniel, for adding that. That was a very critical sidebar.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna start, here with Scott, and then we're gonna pivot over here. Want to go ahead?
Yeah, so regarding the closure on tuna, I'm wondering if, just roughly framing it, we're probably a tax base of $50 million and everyone's kids, careers and everything to count on being able to get to the west side. Stationing one person there to be able to make that navigable and useful means we have access to.
I am doing my best to take the fastest road free by the kernel, so that, limiting traffic on that will allow that to be the most efficient. Now, in terms of
For
enforcement.
tuna?
Oh, yeah.
How clearly?
Oh, correct, but I'm saying facilitating additional traffic loads going through Tuna onto PCH, but what I think your question is, you're asking for enforcement to have.
So we can use
IDs.
Yeah, just IDs or nothing, so we can use tuna, because there were like 30 homes burned, 70 structures, as we learned in a recent meeting. That's probably, if that isn't cleared in a couple of days, then that's it, right, for the need from up there to move debris. So we need it for people and for businesses.
Topanga, traversing Tuna, turning
Just going to PCH where you need a pass.
left or right.
Either way.
Either way, we did it for you.
We're asking ask for the passes at the top of the canyon.
You're asking only the people that have current passes to be able to.
Correct.
That will be, I don't wanna talk here, but CHP does handle.
Sure.
Actually, it's Deputy Baldy, the sheriff's department.
Hi, touch base, briefly. We are basically, for the short of it, we're taxed on personnel. We take, units all from all over the county currently to support our operations now. Tuna Canyon is a county road, which is technically CHP, but I believe they have the same issue, if not worse. So me picturing it, we would have to add a person at Tuna and another person down at PCH to check the passes, both areas. And
No.
What about the army? Is it every other spot?
so the National Guard, there has to be uniform presence with them. They cannot, if there's a pass area, they cannot be alone. There's gotta be uniform presence with them. I don't know what policy that is, but that is the policy that's been passed to me. So at every checkpoint that we have, the one at 22,500 and Las Flores and Rambla, there's National Guard and deputies.
And there was a sound team too.
When there was saddle, yeah, those are the only two closures we are currently manning. We don't have the personnel to add any more deputies out here to do any more closures. As of now, we're taking units from all over the county, and their cities are taking the hits now.
So Deputy Baldy, on the not having the personnel, let me ask you this because it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Is it that you can't recruit them or that we need more money for your department to get more people to potentially do something?
As of now, the money part, you could have all the money in the world, there's just
Nobody
not
wants
enough
to do it.
people.
What about a local volunteer?
Yeah, to check like an arson watch, like people who are vetted.
Like Sita.
No, it would have to be a uniform personnel like me.
Why?
Well, if you have a volunteer.
Question,
Yeah, if you have a civilian volunteer that is not in any way affiliated with any law enforcement agent or anything, what prevents them from letting everybody through or abandoning the post? It's gotta be controlled by some sort of law enforcement that is vetting the passes going through. If it's just a volunteer, we have no control to know what is coming through there. And any addition, I personally drove Topanga Canyon and PCH yesterday, just so I would know what it's like. Topanga Canyon is absolutely a disaster. I drove through it. And then PCH, me in a black and white radio car from Topanga to Malibu Canyon took about 45 minutes. So even giving you guys a pass, if we were to give you a pass to go that way, it's gonna take just as long as going around, in my opinion.
Not true. We've been up it. It's not true.
That's just my observation.
One at a time, learn.
But yeah, the bottom line is there's no personnel to add additional, road checks. We just
You're
don't have
saying each
personnel.
one their perspective, but let me ask Daniel, from the county side, from the county side, if more money came through, or if we were able to get more recruitment, could we hire people quickly?
We have been trying, and when I say we, I mean, the department has been trying to hire folks for years now.
Okay.
And the supervisor has never voted to take any funding away. It's gone up every single year. We have a great relationship with Sheriff Luna. It is not a money thing. We can throw $1 billion at them and people have to apply. They have to train and they have to, you know.
Why can't it just be the National Guard? Why do we need to?
But for whatever reason, there's a law, but can we change the law? Can the supervisor put a motion forward? Saying-
When we have enough phosphorus, it's
Right.
just the National Guard.
Right,
There's
right.
no-
That's something you have to go with National Guard with. They're the ones that have that rule that there has to be a deputy. Because I believe they don't have the same police powers. If someone blows the roadblock, if someone gets in their face, they don't have the powers that we do to arrest or cite. So if people just give them the finger and go by, nothing to do. So that there has to be uniformed personnel with them.
Well, that would be unacceptable for an entire community to cut off
Yeah.
from the west side of Los Angeles, from our schools, from our doctors, from our workplaces, because we don't have a handful of personnel who can manage.
It does seem like we need to be able to put our heads together and solve the personnel issue. I would agree, but if we volunteer, law changes to allow people, I understand this isn't something you can do unilaterally, but everybody, you know.
I don't know,
That's why we have
Tuna
our-
Canyon is also not
Right.
safe to traverse.
It's
Am I right?
fine, we have lived up here for years.
Clear, but it's not a road we wanna add.
It's
You don't wanna add a lot of traffic.
But if you're talking about pass holders.
Yeah, okay, so technically Tuna might be able to accommodate this. All right, guys, quiet, so we can get meaningful answers here. Tuna Canyon could accommodate some additional pass-through, you're saying?
But where that leads to is PCH, which is the operation.
Yeah.
So we're only at 60%. You mentioned 45-minute truck roll, I'm 60%. You ramp up to
Yeah, but you're
100%.
cutting us off. We have to solve this problem.
Right, that's true, we need to find a
100
way.
times as much
Yeah.
traffic these trucks will produce.
And Tuna,
Every
we've
day
driven
on
for many years, I've
PCH.
been here 40 years. You can drive it, I've driven it after the fire, it's fine.
Yeah,
we drove
You guys are,
it.
it's like an Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
You can just put stop signs like on Saddle Peak, when there's one lane, and move around. It's all over in the mountains.
I'm just gonna say, you cannot name a
Okay, so we'll
community
do
of
this,
15,000 people in America that doesn't have police officers in it all the time. We have none. And if we're asking for this now to be able to use Tuna for access, it should be a priority of the county to get that done.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would look into that from the county, like working with the partners, if they could take the lead on that, to work with sheriff and
You guys are
DPW.
asking for personnel that don't exist, that is.
Or a
Then let
rule
us use
change.
road.
A law change.
We'll sign a waiver.
Someone creative, like volunteers.
We'll sign a waiver. You guys aren't gonna go out. It's silly.
How many sheriffs short are you? Because last I heard it was 80.
At the
We'll
station,
sign waivers.
It's 40%, I believe it's 40% at the station. And I think we're budgeted for roughly 120-ish, and we're down to like in the 70s, I believe.
So
45. So let me just put it this way, I know you guys think that if we throw money at it, that for deputies to work overtime. Since the fire, I'll tell you, I'm 140 hours every month, 6 to 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. Throwing more money at it to get deputies to work more overtime, they've got more overtime than they want to work, and it's, at a certain point, it's not safe for us.
Aren't there people out of work who need jobs?
We need more personnel. I understand you guys' frustration.
So the
And I
county
understand-
can step in.
Could we have with
Applications are open.
already
Does
stationed
anybody
vetted
here, would
volunteers?
anybody here like a job?
Because
the applications are open.
I do think we need to talk about this afterwards.
So you're talking, James, you're talking about volunteers on patrol?
Volunteers on patrol, other arson watcher vetted station, there's a group of, a variety of different vetted groups.
So
Possibly reserve deputies.
reserve deputies, maybe. The problem with putting anybody that is not sworn in those positions, I've already seen, arrests for blowing the place. once the weather gets better, you're gonna start getting your motorcycle clubs, possibly your 1%er. You see Mongols down in Malibu all the time. If you put a civilian at one of those spots and they get in a fight, they're screwed.
Okay, yeah. So I think, no, good point. I think we do need to take this up actually in a whole separate meeting, like the personnel problem, volunteers, deputies. We gotta get creative and we gotta get people out there. Totally sympathize with everything you're doing, Deputy Baldwin. You're incredible.
Yes.
Okay, now that's, yeah, that's a huge action item. I agree. Yeah, no, let's do that. Personnel, okay. So next question.
I just got one more,
Oh.
and it's really important, that the Topanga Canyon Boulevard has, this compromised section of road. And it's gonna be 3 retaining walls. That's like a week of work to build a house. Why isn't that 24/7 getting that done within a month? Why is it 2.5 months and maybe more?
I'm gonna ask Sheree.
I can speak.
To an engineer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sharif Butros, the chief for construction for this area of the conference. So first of all, there's geotech studies that need to be done to determine what size of retaining wall needs to be done, what type of retaining wall. There are different types of retaining wall. Sourcing the material for that after the geotech studies is a big deal these days. There's shortage of material. Some of these retaining walls, we're looking at steel beams that can be 30, 40 feet length. They are long steel beams. They have to be made at special fabrication facilities. They have to be zinc coated in a special way so they don't corrode in a few months. So it is a big deal. Then the construction itself, they have to be drilled in the ground, they have to be poured, they have to be anchored in. Some of them will have to be anchored horizontally also into the mountain, which is, a big deal. You have to get drilling machine, you have to put like these stringers or whatever some anchor into the mountain. It is a big operation, and to be done safely and to be done right, it takes time to be designed correctly and to be installed correctly.
But we will go 24/7.
And we will, yeah.
But, this has been done before, I've been here a long time,
Yeah.
and they get it done in a month.
I like this, Dennis.
Yeah, it's not that far off from what happened in front of Jalan and below. Whole road gave away.
That was in 1995.
Yeah, but they fixed it pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's like 18 days or something, or a month and a half.
Not to this extent.
When-
This kind of report.
I know,
Okay.
but that sounds like engineer talk to me, like, friends of mine have been up and down that road and I never saw workers. So she's saying they're working 24/7.
No, I single human.
So I don't know what's really going on here. We're getting double messages.
Right, what is happening behind the scenes, and when will what we've been asking for weeks is the geotech report. I think every other day, I'm on Lauren, where's the geotech report? When is the geotech report coming and what's stopping it from being here already?
So the work is being done. The work have been ongoing for a while. We have to clear big sections of the road first for our own equipment, even to be able to get in there, to be able to do these studies that they need to do safely. We need drilling machines to go take samples for this geotech. And these drilling machines need pads to be, stationed on. It's not easy to be stationed on a road that's failing. So the geotech samples that need to be done to design these walls are not done yet.
Is
They
it about
will
money?
be done.
Is it about
No,
money?
it's not
But
about
what-
money.
when-
It's about the rain
Yeah.
that keeps coming, the storms that keep hitting us, and we keep chasing this dirt and trying to clean it up. And we get hit with the second storm that, drops more dirt on us. Trust me, we feel for you guys. We know what you're dealing with. We are there. I have my team here.
Come up here and live. You don't know what we're doing with. Come on.
All right, okay, but let me just ask this, because people want timelines and they want
Yeah, we
benchmarks,
need
and
more
things to
information.
understand, like this, right? When will the geotech report come? We know there's rain, but rain isn't that uncommon. We've actually had less rain than average this year. So when are we going to get the geotech?
Okay, so let's not get to the geotech report now. You guys want to be able to access Topanga. Our goal is to open one lane for you for now, while we are doing the rest of the work. The rest of the long-term work, the walls.
You're right,
all
if
of
you
that
get,
stuff.
let's
Sure,
talk about the
sure.
pictures now.
No, that's our goal. Our goal, we understand that. Building walls can take time, and we don't want to be under this much pressure to do it unsafely and to be
forced to
When
come up with
will
something.
one lane?
Yeah,
go?
when is this one lane?
This 1 lane, we are shooting for 2.5 to 3 months from now.
People are driving it now.
And Edison needs it
They
too.
just go around the roadblocks.
We've lost the systematic question.
Okay.
Okay, next one, okay.
Okay, hi. I'm Jen Badger. I'm a Topanga resident and a parent of school children, and I'm here actually representing dozens and dozens of families who have kids that go to school across the west side in Santa Monica and Malibu, you know, you name it. We have a diverse variety of a group of students that go to school across a diverse array of schools. I'm very happy to hear about the school bus for LAUSD because our kids have been on the road for 3 to 5 hours a day trying to get to school. These are young children. That's a really tough drive for me. It's 10 times harder for my kids and all of the people that I represent today. So LAUSD, I'm glad to hear that those kids are getting some relief. It's absolutely needed, and I hope that you fast track that. And I'm speaking to you, Lauren Wonder. Now, there
And I
are a
answered
lot
to
of
you.
us.
Friday.
Great.
It's starting Friday.
Fantastic. So there are a lot of us, however, that have kids in private schools and other schools across the west side. A shuttle to drop my first grader off at some bus where he's supposed to get, you know, on and off somewhere in the city doesn't exactly work, right? So we need a solution for parents. We are very organized and we all carpool together and we have passes and we need a solution. Lucas Bradley, we are not done with you because I am shocked to hear that Tuna is closed just to keep people from going down, not because it's been undermined. So in lieu of a short-term solution for parents who have to drive their kids to school because our schools are, you know, not large enough to be able to fund a school bus, we need temporary traffic solutions. We need to be able to use Tuna Canyon until we can use that lane that the school bus is using, right? And we can get enrollment letters for our children. We can prove our residency. This can all be on a pass system if that's what's needed. The other thing we need, Lauren Wonder, and our engineer, is a timeline, a definitive timeline. I hear you're saying it's messy. There's mud, there's undermining, there's stuff to repair. California is the 5th largest economy in the world. Thank God we live here and we can get this stuff, right? So what I want to know is, we understand it's complicated. This is a disaster of incredible proportions, but we need a timeline. It's too late already at this point.
Where should we move? Like, we need a timeline.
We need a timeline and we need temporary traffic solutions. If parents of school children that aren't going to be on that bus can't use Topanga Canyon anytime soon, then we should be allowed to use Tuna. And I'm going to stay, Lucas, and talk to you until we figure that out.
Excellent. Would that be possible, Lauren and Lucas, for us to all work together on potentially like carpool type?
And Jen Badger, we have been working toward that. That's what I was trying to explain. We are trying to look for that solution for the private school parents.
Yeah, so you mentioned the shuttle and the metro. That doesn't quite pan out for us. We
Keep
have
in
young
mind,
children.
that was just one of the things we're looking at, okay? Because if you have one car, then you have another car, and then you have another car.
Yes,
You
there
can't
would be
get
cars.
the road
Yes.
clear,
And then they all.
and it's also unsafe. So we have to think very pragmatically
We have to
about
think
this.
pragmatically
Let
and
me
produce
finish.
timelines. That's
Can I
right.
finish?
We are pragmatic people, and so we would like a pragmatic solution and a clear
Let her
timeline.
answer your
All right,
question.
very good, Jennifer, very good, but yeah, Lauren, so we are working on that, and I will definitely join forces with you to go ahead and explore every
Yes,
possibility.
thank you, Carrie,
I
for bringing up
absolutely will.
the issue with school
Yeah, and
children.
thank you, Jennifer, because you do represent a lot of people. I know you're super frustrated. And what the moms have to deal with on a regular basis is unconscionable and it's absolutely unbearable. So I will put every ounce of energy I have into trying to come up with something better. And I agree with you, carpools are probably the answer for our private school, probably not shuttles. But I applaud Lauren for thinking in terms of shuttles, and possibly shuttles could be used for people like seniors who need to go to medical appointments or things like that to address that group of people. But it's gonna take Lauren, it's gonna take Lucas, and our parents working together. Yeah,
We also could do like a time, and it doesn't have to be random. It
Yeah,
could be like,
right,
we're
exactly,
gonna
like
be there
finite,
at 7:30 every morning, and that's when the crew goes through.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
We're getting a good nod of a head over here.
Yeah, sure. All right, excellent. So I want to go ahead over here.
Just the community. It sounds like there's not a lot of good communication going on between the agencies, because I'm hearing Edison saying, well, did we talk about that yet? And things like that. I think you need more input, not just from the community, but talking to each other. Because we could tell you a lot of the issues that you need to be looking at and help you to do those things in a more organized way, so we could have timelines, because it's really frustrating. I went on the DPW site to find out why tuna was closed, because everybody has a theory. They all have conspiracy theories about why it's closed. And it's interesting, but you realize we have 2 ways blocked now to get out if there's another fire or an emergency. It's Tuna and Topanga Canyon blocked. And when we go down Las Flores, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there a lot more houses being repaired going down that way than there are on Tuna? Because I feel like I'm getting in the way going down Las Flores. Why aren't you opening Tuna? It intercepts less with the Malibu work being done. And, I just don't understand. It's not logical. So why don't you talk to somebody from the community about logic about this stuff? Because, not to be mean, but it's been months. It's just going on too long, and I realize the weather is not, controllable. But my other question is for Colonel Saucer about the cleanup. And my question is, I thought today in your report that only 133 houses of the 315 that are on the beach side of PCH have got the opt-in or have answered at all. So we're talking about almost 200 houses on the beach in Malibu who haven't responded. And that directly affects the water quality for all of us. We're looking to get that cleared off. It'll help the traffic on PCH enormously. So I'm wondering why the focus isn't on that stretch of PCH right next to the water. Getting those owners, getting it cleared, and
You wanna go first?
Okay.
that's it.
I do want to touch on, so our office, I was literally one of the people calling. We had Public Works put together a list of folks who have not filled that ROE form out yet. And we had our field team, the supervisor's field team, we were calling people, leaving the messages, letting them know you need to fill this out. We need to get the property cleared. A lot of folks are not being responsive because, quite frankly, there's a lot of, I don't want to sound insensitive. There's a lot of very wealthy people who live across that section, and they may have an LLC that owns that, or they might go through a company that has very hard to get a hold of them.
So
the
after
supervisor,
are you gonna bulldoze them then, or are you just
so
gonna
the
go?
supervisor that's actually something that I failed to touch on, apologies for that, but the supervisor is working on a way essentially to get the US Army Corps of Engineers to be able to access those properties without permission, to just clear them. So we are working on that, but we have to explore other options first, because unfortunately, we don't want people to come after the county and start suing us. They came on our property without our permission. We have to try.
So I'll answer your question real quick first. And to be fair to the county's been working with us on the ROE process, the right of entry process for those beachfront processes. And you're right, absolutely right. It's absolutely challenging. If you were looking at the viewer right now, look at La Costa Beach. La Costa Beach is the primary effort right now. Working with all these agencies to include the utilities, we built out an encroachment area just to work on that beach first. And we've surged in contacting all those folks that live there. There's 60 parcels. I have in hand 41 ROEs green. We're working right now. We'll have 4 crews on La Costa Beach tomorrow. And La Costa Beach will be done by the end of the month by the ROEs that we have. So that would be 41 out of the 60. The rest have all opted out, or they're commercial properties. So the totality of La Costa Beach, I don't know about the opt-outs because I don't control their schedules, but they have, and there's 2 private contractors working there right now for everything that the federal government's responsible for will be done by the end of the month. And then we jump to Las Tunas Beach. Las Tunas Beach, as of this morning, we had 30 ROEs in hand. We're going to build an encroachment there with Caltrans following. And we know that we got a 30 ROE, rights of entry, because this is all private property. We have to get it signed off by individuals. It's not martial law, or the coastline would have been done. So we are moving on to Las Tunas Beach. That's phase 2. That will be done by April 15th.
Why do you have to go one after the other?
Because we're sharing the road with sedimentation removal and utilities. So we have to synchronize that as we move along. Right now, across that entire road, there's pretty much one lane, both ways. And we're putting all those trucks on that one lane, both ways.
Have any been done yet?
I'm sorry?
Have any been completed yet? On the beach, have any structures been completed?
On La Costa Beach, as
On
of
any of the
today,
beach on Malibu?
17 properties on La Costa Beach, and the rest of the 41, or the totality of 43 we're gonna get to by the end of the month that we have responsibility for. And then the opt-outs will move on from there. And to be fair to Lucas and the county, I mean, I'm the bad guy here too, because when we came here for a public health emergency. We asked the state of California, they asked the federal government to come in, and part of that is, if it is an emergency, we're asking for residents only on PCH. So that's been the ask from the Corps of Engineers. So, you know, I'm the bad guy in the room as well, because trying to get this done with 2 lanes, utilities, and active sedimentation falling off those mountains right now, they're actively eroding, right? So PCH is stressed. We have got to, you know, be very judicious in how we utilize PCH, and that's just, I'm a stranger. I mean, I didn't know what PCH was 2 months ago. Now I do.
Thank you for your question, Julie. This side?
I want to apologize for all my interruptions and outbursts. I'm super frustrated and it totally is coming out here today, so. I have a lot, I don't know that it matters, because honestly, I feel a little, I don't want to say like, well, I'm very tired. I'm a mom. I'm also the sole financial provider for my family, and my work is in Santa Monica, and the kids' school is in Santa Monica. I just want to note, a lot of the kids whose schools are in Santa Monica now were in the Palisades, so like their school burned, and that was really hard for them. And I just want to throw that out there if anyone thinks we should leave Topanga because we're being babies about it being hard right now. Just want to throw that out there.
Can I say something?
No, I'm actually.
Wait, she's still talking
right now.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a line right here.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you, but we don't want to be rude.
So, and I wish I was as well spoken as Jen, but I'm not. So I have a letter from our pediatrician. I really sincerely don't know if anyone cares, like to the degree that it's not bothering us. I feel a little bit like if we don't agree or we push a little too hard, then it's like, just let me answer. If you just let me answer, you know, it's like, no, we need you to wait and listen, like we're waiting and we've been waiting. And my son's pediatrician's been pediatrician 40 years and he's a no bullshit kind of guy. And if he thought this letter was unnecessary or extreme, then he would totally tell me, like, but he said, I'm just gonna read it. I am writing to express my deep concern about the current restrictions, 40 years of experience. The effect of the commute on the children is a particular concern to me. The extent of time that children spend in cars for approximately 3 to 5 hours a day, and that's not an exaggeration. Okay. And I know for a fact that driving around it is longer than it was. But I'm sure in the days to come, there will be outstanding days where it's very full. And that is something that I would be just fine with. Can affect their physical and mental well-being, just the exhaustion of waking up early. We leave our house at 6 a.m. to I have a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. Out the door in the car at 6 a.m. Can negatively impact their cognitive function, emotional health, which can hinder academic performance. Given that school buses are being allowed access for students attending public schools, I urge you to extend the same consideration to parents whose children attend other schools in Santa Monica and Culver City. Even under the road's current circumstance, allowing parents the same access via Topanga would provide a safer, healthier alternative, greatly improving the quality of life and health of these children. And it's not lost on me that I feel like I sound a little uppity, like give my private school kid access to his school, you know, but like the reality is like no one knows why he's at that school. It's not really anybody's business. And this is a teacher at his school.
Thank you for coming and for explaining all of the details of this disaster, because we all know it is a disaster. The school burned down, and evacuating little children and bigger children is not something anybody wants to have to go through. But I would like to point out that the longer this takes, the more endemic the trauma is for these children. And so when you talk about like 2 months, we've already been dealing with it for 2 months for these children. And these children don't understand that the rocks are big. They don't understand that you have to put a big steel pipe into the hill. Tuna is there. We all see it every single day. My children see it every single day. The children who are prevented from coming to school because their parents can't not go to work, because they actually have to be at work. So they're choosing their job or their children's school. That is the choice that these people are making right now. And so, sorry, we don't have enough personnel to open tuna for 1 hour to go down in the morning and 1 hour to come down in the afternoon, come home in the afternoon. We are all organized, intelligent people. We are very capable of organizing a carpool that gets us all the way down tuna between 7 and 8 every single day and home between 3 and 4. And I'm sorry, I appreciate that everyone is working their hardest to do this, but these children are innocent right now. And they don't deserve to continue having this trauma become a part of their lives for the rest of their lives. We're talking eating disorders because children have to leave their house at 6 a.m. in the morning and they can't have breakfast. We're talking about anxiety issues because they have already been evacuated from a burning building. Now they're having to sit for 5 hours, and it's not an exaggeration. I have children in my class who are sitting for 5 hours, and their parents are dealing with trauma, and they have nowhere to put their children. Putting their children with a nanny who doesn't understand what's happened, or with a granny who has no idea what's happened, is not a viable option. They need to be with their teachers who understand what they've been through and are trained to see when the trauma is becoming something that will last them for the rest of their lives. So yes, it's hard. And I am so appreciative. I'm not one of the people who thinks you're all sitting on your asses and doing nothing. I can see the work. I drive Les Fleurs every single day, but I've also sat on the 405 and the 101 for weeks when I can't do this. And the fact that tuna is not, like, I will do whatever to support you guys. I hear that this is not an easy thing. I'd like to point out, from South Africa. And so I am not the kind of person who has a hard time with the bad road. Everyone out here is people who have dealt with bad roads. And so I will tell you as a teacher that we need a solution, even if it's an hour down tuna and an hour back up, that solves this for now. Other than that, we would be so grateful, and thank you for all of your work. But this is longer than 2 months for these children. This is the rest of their lives.
Daisy, thank you. Really good. Thank you.
Engineer, if there were, let's say, 30 cars that were in line behind a bus, and they were with the escort, and they got there at the same time, and they traveled along at the same time, and it was like a train, would that be any more unsafe?
Could we do that?
Really, for the road and the structure of the road than just the bus? Because there are on Mulholland and on Saddle Peak, 2-way stop signs. You know, it's like it's not like we're not already driving that kind of thing. I know it's not the same, but kind of precarious.
Yeah.
Saddle Peak and Mulholland. I mean, so would that be any different structurally as an engineer, would you say?
Structurally, no.
So it wouldn't cause any more structural damage to have 30 more cars go right behind the bus, and then 30 more cars come right back up, since 3-year-olds and 6-year-olds are not gonna do a shuttle, and I don't really see any other viable solution.
Right. So basically that would probably be a time thing, not so much a structural thing, but a time thing. So we're talking maybe 15, 20 minutes, max a half an hour. Could we set that aside every morning for this basically caravan of vehicles to go through?
And also town transport.
Right.
You can't open tuna.
Two pieces.
Because everyone gets to the bottom of tuna and they can't turn on the PTV.
So I guess
You mean TCV? No, first of all, wait, the access that we're talking about is on TC. The access that we're talking about is on TCB to PCH.
So I guess I'm saying, if you have a pass, if you already have a pass that allows you on a PCH, is that a viable solution for Caltrans and the engineer? And I mean, is there like?
Well, involved in that one. If we get TCB open, it would be entirely Caltrans. It would be TCB to PCH.
No, but I mean, like, the engineer has to say, like, hey, is it safe?
True.
So
Yeah, we will look into it.
No, I'm asking you're an engineer, like, come on, like, would 30 cars trailing behind? I want an answer now, honestly, like, I'm done waiting.
Well, we need to evaluate it. I cannot give an answer right now. This is gonna be, we are not gonna be able to see behind. The road is compromised. There is no guardrail to protect from falling. We don't know what will happen to these cars in the back. If we have 20, 30 cars, we need a lot of manpower to have like a contractor car every 3 or 4 cars to make sure that they can see behind, they can make sure.
So the escort goes like alongside, like, has to have them inside.
Yeah, it is a complicated thing, but we're gonna look into it. If it's possible, if we can do it with the bus, we can do it. It's also gonna affect the production of the trucks because we're trying to ramp up as much as we can and.
Get 2 buses, get 2 buses.
All right.
But we'll look into it.
Please do, Sharif, and so you'll get back to us and we can.
Yes.
I
discuss with Lauren and discuss with my team.
And if you can't do it, then there has to be a discussion with the community as to why.
Of course.
Okay, but hopefully you can do it, then you can avoid the discussion. All right, we have a question on Zoom about deputies, from Dorothy. She wanted to know about the allocation of deputies.
Hi.
Dorothy, hey.
Hey, thanks for calling on me. So I live on Saddle Peak. And you say you don't have deputies. We had a bogus road closure on Saddle Peak due to the Public Works misinformation given to the deputies. But during that time, there were 4 or 5 deputy cars at the bottom at Saddle Peak and Tuna. There were 2 deputy cars all the time at Saddle Peak and Stunt. There were plenty of deputies. They were sitting around doing nothing at all for hours on end, 24/7. I can't believe that you can't find deputies for a couple of hours in the morning and a couple of hours in the afternoon to let these people down Tuna and then back up Tuna. This is an outrage. There are lots of deputies and I saw them sitting around doing absolutely nothing.
Dorothy, when was this? If you're gonna make an allegation like this, you should give a day or a time.
What was it? It was continually remember I talked to you about this when they closed Saddle Peak Road. And there was and Public Works said that there was work being done and that's why they had to close the road. And then it turned out there was no work being done. Daniel was up there and he saw with me, I forget what dates they were, but it was, about up until about 3 weeks ago, they had our road closed for no reason at all. And deputies were at both ends of the road. And some days there were multiple deputy cars there. Daniel maybe has the date when he came up and saw what was going on. But I don't believe they're not available deputies because I saw them. They were there all the time.
Thank you, Dorothy, for the question. Let's give them a chance. Did you guys recall this date or time or why there would be this odd constellation of?
So as far as if the road closure was bogus or not, that I don't know. I know we all work with Caltrans and County Public Works. They say, hey, we need this road closed. So we'll put deputies there. In those particular areas, there are always going to be 2 deputies because they are very remote. 1 deputy there if they need to use the bathroom, if they need to go eat, if they get in a fight, if somebody wants to give them lip, they've got to have 2 there. The ones at the bottom of the hill, I don't know what the closure was. It could have been a 4-person assignment. All these, we call them missions, are missioned out of our emergency operations center. So we'll say, hey, we need 4 deputies at 22,500 PCH to assist National Guard with passes. So the missions are assigned through there. Each mission has an assigned amount of deputies per mission. There could have been 2 deputies assigned to that, and there could have been 2 high visibility rovers to go check out cars that maybe below the road closure, or if they see a suspicious car in the area, they can go take off and look at it. But if that was weeks ago, we have lost an additional, a lot of personnel since then, as we've gone off the 12-12s. So all the personnel have basically returned back to their stations to patrol their areas. And we have a limited amount. We get 36 deputies a day from throughout the county that come and assist us with the closures and with the suppression and high visibility. So as to why it was closed, if what they were doing, I don't know. You'd have to ask those deputies.
Might have been a false alarm of some sort,
Yeah.
but no, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I get it. Okay, thank you. Okay, question on the left.
Yes. Thank you all so much for being here today. I think it's really important for you to witness that what's going on in this canyon is not an inconvenience. We have shaded into suffering for certain people and many members of this community, especially the parents. I'd like to ask this question. I think this is of Lauren and the fire chief, who I think is no longer here. This is about if and when you open the boulevard to one lane. Will it be resident-only access, or will it be open to the entire valley and everyone from the west side who uses this as a main artery? I want to remind you that we've been here. We have been to this rodeo. We did this for 3 months last year when we had a major mudslide. So we know what it takes to, live under these circumstances. But then we didn't have a public works project happening on the north end of the boulevard, bringing our only main artery out in case of evacuation or medical emergency down to one lane for most of every weekday. It's kind of mind-boggling that that's our situation. So if we open the South Boulevard to one lane to everyone, and I've lived here 27 years, we've done a lot of one-lane road closures in that part of the road. We can have as much as a half-hour backup with a flag man there. How are ambulances going to get out on behalf of the seniors in this community and people with medical conditions? Because already sometimes before the boulevard was closed, I was sitting for 20 minutes to get out on the north end of the boulevard. How are we going to get emergency vehicles out if only one lane is open and we have huge lines of cars waiting at each flag man? How are we going to still be safe if we have to evacuate or we have medical emergencies? How's that going to work?
Okay, I've got 2 questions here, and I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
What is your preference? I'm hearing that you don't want to open it up to the general public. You want to keep it just for Topanga?
Well, I'm asking, is that part of your plan? Because we want the businesses to get their traffic back, but we also need to be able to move around, get out in case of emergencies and not sit for 20 to 30 minutes at a
Just so
time.
the people on Zoom can hear it.
Oh,
Right now,
sorry, it was in the
you can't hear or see her.
Sure.
See you great.
So,
You're great.
yeah, so I want to know what the plan is when you open it to one lane. Will it be resident only access? Will we need permits? Will it be open to everyone? How are we going to plan around that extra, that already we're planning around a lot of extra time and we know how to do that, but now we're going to plan for an indefinite period of time sitting in line with a flag man.
Correct. So I don't know if it was clear. We're trying to get 2 lanes open up to the point where we need to do.
I got that,
Then,
but
so it's
there'll
gonna be a
still be
shorter segment that'll help with some traffic. So really, what I keep hearing is the community wants to be part of these decisions. I think we involve the community in that discussion, because I do hear we want to have access for our businesses, and we have worked toward that.
Paradox.
You know that we've put signs out saying Topanga Town is accessible. And I saw signs up here that you guys have put out more toward Mulholland that say, come shop in Topanga. I think that's great. So there is that paradox. How do we keep the community vibrant and also keep the boulevard accessible for you and more open? In terms of emergency vehicles, even when we did soft closures for the wind events, in the anticipation of any fires that could come up, and thank God they did not happen, we kept that boulevard closed for the community. So it's doable. We did not let the valley people in during those soft closures.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
If there are emergency vehicles, even through construction, and Sharif and Stephen can confirm, even during construction, if an emergency happens, we'll let the ambulances through.
Will there be room? If
That's
one
what we're
lane is
gonna have to work
missing?
it out. If a lane is missing, yes, we're gonna have to have people shift over. So that we can let the ambulance through. So yes, we do accommodate that. We don't turn a blind eye to that. Yes, but I hear your concern, and I think that's a valid discussion point for the community and how we open up this boulevard. Do we want to open it up to all? Do we want to keep it just for Topanga? We'll have to involve you, and then we'll probably have another committee meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. Okay, Susan.
I just want to say, Deputy Baldy, I want to thank you and your
guys at Lost Hill are responding rapidly on the welfare visits that we've called in since the fire. And there have been many. And I want to say thank you, you guys have been here. We've had no problem getting the ambulances in and the ambulances into the valley. Now, I do believe that at one time, there was a cutoff point, Susan, you could probably answer to this, that it was Pine Tree Circle, you would go Santa Monica emergency. Now the fire department, they all go into the valley. UCLA is now West Hills and Cedars is now Tarzana. We had patients transferred to Tarzana. And the answer time in the ambulances has been pretty rapid. And they've gone to all areas. So to answer your question, we've actually had that and it's been a good service.
They're like the delivery trucks, they're finding the way.
Pardon?
They're like the delivery trucks.
Yeah, they, and if it's they also have the heliport at the top, across from top of Topanga, if somebody needs to be medevaced out. But I do want to say, you guys, I know you're short staffed, and we have made welfare visit calls to you, and you've been there, and I do want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, and I want to say thank you, Deputy Halsey, because I was trying to report a crime, and I went into station to report it sometimes, and I was getting all kinds of stories. And finally, I spoke with you, and you handled it expertly, and I just personally was so grateful. And so just know if you ever have to report a crime, I highly recommend going directly to Deputy Halsey, because he'll know how to handle it promptly, and he'll take care of you.
And on that note, I just want to say one more thing. Daniel, I know we've talked about this before, but I am requesting again, mental health support for our community here. For the children, it was addressed by the teacher, for our seniors. We had a serious mental health breakdown this week that had to be medevaced out, and that was in Ground Zero up at Saddle Peak. I'm asking, please. Cali OS has been texting me every day saying it's coming, it's coming. We're now in March. And they said you're working with the county. So I'm requesting again, we need that one-on-one, not somebody coming to the Topanga market or behind Moon's Market to give. The people who need it most are behind closed doors. So I'm asking again, can we expedite that? It's a serious need here.
Okay, we have 1 minute left. Susan, great point. I'm glad you're definitely getting to Kathy. So we're you, Kathy, then Zoom. You,
Okay,
Kathy,
so
and then
this is a question for the Army Corps of Engineers Officer Shelter. What I'm wondering is based on the load that the impact for PCH, even if Topanga Canyon Boulevard is opening up, is that one of the other reasons why things are moving possibly so slowly, because you guys can't have people on PCH? Is that deep down one of the driving factors?
So, yeah, I told you before, that's what we asked for. From state government declared a state of emergency, and the national government then responded on the request of the state government. And so, being a public health emergency, we've asked to keep it residents only. So, for the sheer fact that there is a lot going on out there, a lot of debris, and then there's also a lot of density traffic. So I don't deny that, that's our position.
Okay, and so in that you said, really a year until it's all cleared, or at least until May, that you're gonna have the bulk of this, like up to 100%. Does that mean that realistically for everybody here, that we're looking at a lot longer to get from TCP to PCH for people to be able to drive to their work or to West?
No, I certainly would not think it's a year at all. I don't think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be something far short of a year. I mean, of course, I'm gonna throw some variables out there. There's a lot of variables that we don't control. There's 2,000 folks that have not elected to opt in or opt out. I don't control those schedules.
Yeah.
And at that point, there might be a compliance issue that the county and the state will have to work through to, effectively force some of those folks to make a decision. That could prolong some of this, because I don't think there's about 6,500 destroyed parcels. A parcel could be a house, a shed, a gazebo. So it could be more than one structure on a parcel, but there's 6,500 parcels. We're getting close to 4,000 accounted for. right? So I got 3,800 right now in some shape or form. Some of the legal paper that's, I got about 2,000 that are legally sufficient for them to move on. So 1,800 that we're still working on the legal aspect of it. You got about 750 that have opted out. That'll get up to 1,000, which will still lead to around up to 2,000 that will have to elect. So those are the biggest variables. So if you know of anybody, I have nothing against an opt-out whatsoever. It's really helpful if we know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can I make a suggestion for Daniel? I think the best way to get a hold of those people who are not opting out, who might be, like their place might be on fire preparation, is to get PayPal News out there and to have them video every single house that they still need people to opt out on, so that their friends will say, hey, your house is on the news, you need to fucking opt out. That news, use it.
Or something like that.
Sorry. Okay, all right, Kathy.
I'm in the Army, I've heard it.
I'm gonna have two things. I'm trying to make it really quick. I did this privately beforehand, but Colonel, I would again like to publicly acknowledge your professionalism and your commitment and quality of work. And as just one person, I really appreciate it. And the second thing, because I was sitting back there and I look at who all our representatives are here from your different agencies, please also put into your brain thinking about when PCH gets reopened. Can you restripe it, restructure it so that we don't have it reopening with a wall of beat up old RVs all lined up along PCH? So, you know, it's closed now. I mean, I've been doing an e-bike to get to work over on the west side. And I've got some ideas if anybody wants to hear them, but you know, it just really, now is the prime time to do it, you know, before it reopens, so that it's a beautiful place to look at. Thank you.
Sarah, can I ask a real quick question? I'm next.
Oh, yeah, go.
Is this on? I can't tell. Oh, we don't need it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not really on.
All right.
It's not really.
We're hoping it might kick in.
Very quickly. It's been brought up and talked about in circles here tonight, but first I'd like to express my appreciation for all of you in terms of how much you're doing. This is the magnitude of this is just unbelievable. In 1995, one section up here at the top by Councilman Blanc of the road failed. And 24/7, it was a different, you know, it was a different kind of thing, but the road paved in there because of the drainage thing. And what happened was, that was the only thing, and PCH was fine. Nothing was going on PCH. There had been no major fires. This was the road paving in. So a very different situation. So Caltrans worked, they brought in 2 emergency crews, they contracted, they worked 24/7 with the lights and everything. They were outside of town, so that wasn't affecting, and also I guess the noise and the rules that you have there. And they set up a system that had 2 hours in the morning, like 6 to 8, and 2 hours in the evening, or the late afternoon and early evening. I think it started at 3 and went to 5, and the other one was 6 to 8. And anyone, including the buses, that needed to come in, and they had to do 2-way on this, because if somebody leaves and they drop their kids off at school, they need to be able to come back in again, all right? So it worked, and anyone that was a resident, no non-residents, except for the employees that needed, you know, have the passes. So that worked. The population in 1995 was probably about half, or maybe, you know, 3/4 of what we have today. But there's more people on the road, there's more people who live here. So looking at that way, in terms of it's a time frame thing, so it's a limited amount of time that people are going to be able to do that. And to put restrictions on, no, you can't get to your dental appointment or your cardiologist because we're only letting school kids go. That becomes a very messy kind of situation. So if that's what was done, then and I was just wondering if you could look at how that was handled and see if there's anything that can inform your decision making here, and it becomes something where we can do that. And then secondly, I just wanted to ask Army Corps, are there the people that don't opt in and have opted out? Are they on their own damn schedule, or do they have a deadline before something else has to happen?
No, I mean, the opt-outs are on the schedule, to have the property. Now, that I will say that.
Deadline.
Yep, I don't have the deadline. It's, City of Los Angeles and Pacific Palisades is providing that. I know that they were discussing that, this over the course of, this week. City of Malibu is in the same standpoint in the county. I don't know the deadline, but I do know that they're looking at how they're going to address both opt-outs in terms of timeline and then those that have not made a decision.
And do you have one in terms of, there's rumors that have gone around over and over since the fires and the recovery, that, your funding has been cut, and there's deadlines in terms of what's happening in Washington, in terms of how much, when you have to be done, and what happens if you don't get done in that? And are you still getting the funding necessary?
We are getting the funding that is necessary. That has not been an issue. There's been no constraints on funding. We are operating in a little bit different of a funding category in terms of disaster response. And so it has not been impactful at all to our mission.
Yay, so the one department got spared. Okay, so basically the library is staying open late for us until 8:15, so we need to blow through the rest of the questions of the people who have stood this whole time. David?
Yes, hi, this is for the sheriff. Quick question. You're saying that you don't have the personnel to cover checking top and bottom of Tuna Canyon, but you do have the funding. Is it possible to possibly find a retired sheriff or a retired LAPD or someone you could hire for a short time basis and get them to come in and do that?
Bringing back a retired deputy is something that I wouldn't know how to address, but they would not have any police powers. Once they're retired, they can still carry a gun, but they don't have the police powers anymore, so.
You can't give them back to them.
They would have to, I'm sure there'd be training and classes they would have to go back through before they would be able to come back.
It's a good idea. I think we need to have an intensive discussion after with the county and the sheriff's department, the captain, and everybody to see what we can do. Because it does seem like there's a real need for personnel. We keep being told we can't get it. And I get it. You're following the laws and the rules that exist. We need to find something else. So we gotta work on that. All right, Connie, thank you.
I don't know who this question would be for, but I just want to talk on behalf of the Topanga businesses that are struggling, not just storefronts, but also home businesses and all kinds of people who do business in Topanga. We need to know a timeline for when tourists will come back into the area, or just, I know this is like far-fetched, but we just need to know a timeline so that we can figure out how to survive. Is it gonna be a year? I understand it's a lot to deal with, and obviously you've got to clear everything, and it's gonna take forever, 6 months at least, to have that PCH open. But when are we looking at for economic recovery for these areas? Would be really thinking to know, and thanks for everybody being here tonight.
Well, I'll try that one. So, I think it is coming from LA City and from the county and from the city of Malibu. When they put out essentially their guidelines for requirements for those that opt out or are not making an election, I think that'll be helpful because then we'll at least understand the denominator, if you will, percent complete, and understand where we need to be. I can tell you that, if we stick at anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 parcels for the Corps of Engineers, I think it's going to be a vastly different environment early on. But I mean, I don't know. I could suddenly get 1,000 non-compliant properties, which works through all the different municipalities and state government and county, and I could get those in a slug in July, and it changes everything. So that's the challenge of giving you a timeline. Is I got to understand how these variables play out, and when we get to compliance and how the local authorities are going to handle compliance, that will likely add to our mission, I would imagine, but I don't know that with certainty.
Is that for residents or tourists coming through?
I'm just looking at the debris closure. I mean, I'm just looking in terms of the volume and the pressures on PCH.
Yeah.
And then it will be up to probably the other powers that be in terms of which traffic's allowed through, but you're saying in terms of taking just the actual volume and the pressure off, and then we can put pressure on the county and the state to allow certain kinds of traffic.
I mean, to be fair, and we were talking about this in the back, I mean, we are doing everything that we can to accelerate the coastal properties on PCH, because those are the greatest problem, not only from an environmental standpoint, which is obviously the most important piece of this puzzle, but just also from a logistical and a space issue. They present a uniquely challenging perspective when you look at just how PCH is a rate. And the homes that are on the mountainside of PCH tend to have a little bit of a more of a shoulder, or there's a back road that we can access that property to clear that debris. So it kind of the key to this puzzle is getting the coastal properties done first, and then I'm obviously going to be concerned about flow rates as well when we're doing 1,200 trucks.
It's also to be, we're gonna be also having one lane, so that's not gonna be very easy to get people in, because that's really our main line. PCH and CCB is where a lot of people come in to our canyon to do business.
Yes, ma'am.
But quick question, so you said you work 7 days a week, so 24, I don't know if it's 24/7, but are you able to drop at the landfills at night or
No.
where? No, so is that something that we're exploring, trying to get those?
Yeah, Daniel knows as well. We've been working with the county. We've been working with LA County Public Works. We've been working with LA Sanitation. We've been working with Cal Recycle, and we have had expanded hours at some of these locations, which have been helpful. What we are doing as well is we are doing very, very early morning pushes of a lot of material, like 4 a.m. before traffic, anybody wakes up in LA, so that's helpful. Because they got to travel. In many cases, some of these Super 10, Tier 4, Tier 5 dump trucks have got to travel up to an hour and a half to where they're going to dispose of those materials. So we're trying to mitigate it that way. But yes, the periods of darkness is a challenge due to opening hours, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, there's all. I like Cal Recycle talk about that.
Right, but if we could get past that, that would really change the paradigm significantly, wouldn't it? Change the timeline.
It would be helpful,
Yeah,
certainly. It's,
okay.
when you look at an optimization problem, it is a constraint.
Yeah.
Anytime you can lessen constraints, the optimization problem gets easier.
Very well
Got to be a
put.
mathematician in here.
Very well put. Okay, great. So Connie, are you done with your questions? I want to get the last two and then we gotta go. All right, Dennis.
So thank you guys. I know we're really upset, and I know you have people above you, maybe you have to deal with. Okay, I understand. So I had a question. It's kind of not as crucial, but what about the parks? When are they gonna open the parks?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I have to say, Dennis, the park, we didn't get them, they weren't able to.
Who's in charge of that here?
So Sam Lou is working on that in Senator Allen's office. We can I can put a question through to
Well, the
them.
MRCA too, the
Yeah.
Red Rocks.
We don't have a good answer on it then.
Okay,
Does anyone know? I will definitely do that and let you know, but the sheriff's department might have a clue. No?
State parks are MRCA.
Anybody want to talk to this? Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll put Senator Allen, I'll CC you on it and see what they say.
What we heard from the state parks, the Topanga Canyon docents.
Yep.
We met about 3 weeks ago and the state parks was there. There's a lot of restoration.
Wait, is this the state park? There it is.
Yeah.
There. Okay, wait, stop. Hold on. We've got the state parks. We see you.
Good.
We're gonna bring you in. Thank God.
Is he gonna answer? Is he gonna talk?
I think give him a second, please. Thank you one more time.
Okay, can't hear him. Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Woohoo! Hero.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Richard Fink. I'm the district superintendent for the Angeles District of California State Parks. That is 23 state park units, primarily in Los Angeles County. The two you're probably most familiar with or concerned with are obviously Topanga State Park and Will Rogers State Historic Park, probably along with Will Rogers State Beach. In terms of your question, like when is the park reopening? This Friday, we're going to reopen about 20 different trail systems or trail heads. I'll spare going through the list here, but if you go to the Topanga State Park website, we do have an announcement that'll be going up, I believe, if it's not up already, by tomorrow. It gives you a list of the complete trail systems that are being reopened. We feel good about getting people back on the trails there. We feel like they're safe and that we can properly resource and staff those trail systems. So this Friday, hopefully you can get out and enjoy those and let us know how everything goes this weekend. We were here to talk about fuel modification, but given the time constraints, if there's any particular questions from the group, I'll be happy to take those. I do also want to acknowledge another team member we have here from State Parks. Noah, are you on the line as well?
Yes, hi. This is Noah Roche Khalili, and I am the Natural Resources Program Manager at the Angeles District.
So any info on MRCA properties?
Do you guys have intel on MRCA since you partner with them quite a bit? We know you're not responsible for them, but can you tell us about them?
So our trail reopening was done in coordination with MRCA because a lot of our trails touch their trails as well. So go to their website and check for their trail reopening as well. I believe they'll be doing some in coordination with ours this weekend.
Great. Okay, if you could send us that information, we'll push it out online. Our email is contact@topangatowncouncil.org. Jaspreet will send you that email. Noah and Mr. Fink. I missed your first. Was it Richard? What's your first name, Mr. Fink?
Yes, Richard.
Okay,
Yes.
Richard. Okay, Richard and Noah. Jaspreet will send you the email. If you could send us the trail so we can get that out to people who are desperate. Okay, very good. All right, excellent. Thank you so much.
That was contact@Topanga Town Council.
.org. Yes, yes,
All
thank you. And if you guys, I don't think we have time tonight, we're already over time, but if you guys are able to come back next month to speak more on the brush clearance issue, we would deeply appreciate that. So if you could look at your calendars and let us know. I apologize that we don't have time tonight, but we just ran out. The roads are big here. Thank you.
Sure,
Thank you.
yes, we'll make sure that we come back and we'll talk about brush clearance, what we're doing as a state, and also what some options are for residents in Topanga.
Oh, you're terrific. Thank you very much. Very, very much.
Thank you.
I'll be super quick. I appreciate everybody's opinion here. I know opinions are so important. That's how we move forward. But I also think facts are really important. And the fact that it took 2 months to find out we don't have a deputy to cover Tuna Canyon, I'm like, what's going on here? I didn't have any information. And that's the information I get. It's kind of sad. And to just have people go over Las Flores and go down onto PCH just seems so silly. You're just adding, it's not solving any problems. So I would say open Tuna Canyon. It's just frustrating. I've heard that from everyone here, so I don't want to keep saying the same thing. The last thing is, like I said, facts are important. So for the engineers, that's an incredible job you have to do, build a retaining wall. But I bet you've done a lot of them, and I bet you're pretty good at it, and you can kind of come up with a time frame, sort of, not really, because but I'd love to just hear that daily, weekly, monthly activity, exactly what's been done and what phase we're in.
They do that now.
They do that now, okay.
Division 7 online.
Okay. Got it. Well, yeah,
The T7 goes
love to, somebody can help me out and give me
All
that
right,
information.
all right. Last one, we have one question in the back and then we're done.
I just have one comment. Tuna Canyon, I live on Tuna, and I don't believe you need two checkpoints, basically. Just one at the top at the gate, right around Tuna Park. I mean, you can't, there's no place to go once you get on Tuna. Yeah, you can just go straight.
Yeah.
And there's nobody gonna be able to get on, and you can't even get off. So that simplifies it for anybody who is gonna be working on that.
All right, thank you for the comment. Thank you, everybody. This was incredible. We will continue the fun next month, April 16th, and we will follow up on all the items we touched on today.